Hello and welcome to the programme which looks at the Holy Land. I am Paul Calvert. Luke 4 verse 18 from the New King James Bible says this: "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed." I'm with Galya Hall from Christian Friends of Israel. Now, you are advocating and praying for the hostage Rom Braslavski. We've now seen all the living hostages freed. How did it feel to see Rom released?
Hi Paul, nice to see you again. It's really hard to put into words how it felt seeing Rom released and to know that he's out of really the hell that he was in and back home in the safety and the warm embrace of Israel, of the whole of Israel. And yeah, at CFI, we, faithfully, we're praying all the time for all the hostages, and we continue to pray for the 4 remaining deceased hostages, that they would come home and their families would get closure and be able to give them dignified burials. So it's not over yet. They still remain innocent civilians trapped in Gaza, in the tunnels. We don't know where they are, but we need to continue to pray until all of them are home. But yeah, we prayed for all the hostages, but we had a special connection with the family of Rom Braslavski, and our CFI team every Friday would wear their Bring Rom Home t-shirts and pray specifically for Rom. And it was a real honor for us to come alongside Rom's family, even in just a small way. So when Rom was released, like I say, very difficult to put into words. The emotions were through the roof. There were tears of joy. There was singing, dancing, jumping, hugging, crying, clapping, giving thanks to God. First and foremost, just giving all thanks to God for rescuing Rom out of that miry, awful pit that he was in and setting his feet back on the soil of Israel.
You made a special video as well, didn't you, taking off the T-shirts because you didn't need them anymore because he was home. Was this an answer to prayer?
It was 100% an answer to prayer. And, Rom's mother knows that. Rom's mother, Tammy, is a person who has gone on record as saying how much she believes in the power of prayer. And she's called on people through her interviews to pray. And of course, this was an answer to prayer, and we really do give thanks to God. And yeah, when Rom was released, we made a fun video where we just ripped off those Bring Rom Home t-shirts, threw them away, and just rejoiced.
How was he kept in Gaza, and what conditions did he face?
Well, I'm sure you saw the interview that Rom was brave enough to do just a few days ago. Very difficult to talk about it, of course. I mean, we had 2 videos were released when Rom was in captivity, and I think the last one that was released really shocked the nation. I mean, shocked any human being really who saw it, saw the dire conditions that he was in. We know that Rom was held by Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and it seems that he was kept in torturous conditions. He suffered greatly from starvation, from literal torture, and unfortunately what's come out in the interview that Rom did, also from sexual assault and sexual abuse. And Rom has been very brave to speak up about this. We all know that this kind of stuff happened on October 7th, and we all safely assume that it took place in the tunnels as well. But for Rom to actually speak it out, I think is very important and very significant. And I wonder if more hostages may follow. And I really do commend Rom for his courage and his bravery to actually speak out the truth. And in that interview, Rom himself said that when he came back home to Israel, he said that he had come back from a meeting with the devil. And that really struck me because I think that's bang on. What Rom endured was like being in the pits of hell. It was just face to face with demonic entities and just powers of wickedness and powers of the darkness. But thank God, God has rescued Rom out of the darkness, out of the pits, and brought him back into the light, into the openness. And we saw Rom at the hospital. All he wants is wide open spaces, to look at the sky, to look at the ocean. And there was another fantastic video, which maybe you saw, of Rom running into the sea for the first time. And my heart is full seeing these videos and just knowing that his process and his journey of healing has begun.
Of course, when there's sexual assault It's the sort of thing in some ways that you want to hide and you don't want to talk about it because you're ashamed about it and maybe even feel guilty about it. But he's actually really shared this and said, this is what they've done to me. So he really has been very, very brave. And, we sort of pray now that he'll actually get some healing from that.
Yeah, his journey of healing is only just beginning, and there's all kinds of healing. And I would call on all of your listeners to really continue in prayer. Just because Rom is home, it doesn't mean that we stop to pray. There's physical healing, there's emotional healing, spiritual healing, mental healing. We probably just know the tip of the iceberg of what Rom and the others have been through. But as time passes, more and more will come out. But we know that God has that beautiful healing balm of Gilead, and it's our prayer that it would just be wiped and washed and all over Rom and the other hostages, and that cleansing, beautiful, healing balm of Gilead would be theirs. But I agree with you. Of course, there's the shame and there's the guilt and the kind of thing that maybe people would want to cover up what Rom went through. And that's why I say I'm just so amazed at his courage and his bravery to speak out. And it speaks to me of a real hero, a man that's a true hero of Israel. And one of the first things he did as well in the hospital was he wants to participate in the beautiful Jewish prayers that take place in the morning. And there were some wonderful photographs of him doing that. And he really does give all thanks to God, and as does his mom Tammy and the whole family. They can see God's hand in answering prayers and bringing their son home.
His mother came to Christian Friends of Israel, and that's how you got to meet her. Have you heard from her since her son has been released?
Yes, it was such a privilege to meet Tammy a year and a half ago, and to get to know her and to be involved with Rom's brothers and family just a little bit. We have a lot of love for Rom's family and a lot of respect for them. Yes, I have heard from Tammy. I've been in touch with her on a few occasions since Rom's release. Of course, I wanted to just run over to her house and give her the biggest hug. But at CFI, we're here to build relationships with people. And part of a good relationship is also knowing, when to speak and when to be silent, and how to respect people's privacy and dignity as well. And the last thing that we wanted to do was kind of impose ourselves on Rom's family. This is a private time for them. It's a time when they need to huddle together. They need to reconnect with each other. I mean, this is not the same Rom that they lost over 2 years ago. This is a different human being that's come back. They need to relearn each other, reconnect with each other, and it takes time. So yes, I have been in touch with Tammy. She has sent me a few messages where she's expressed to me her gratitude to God for bringing Rom home. She's thanked me. She's thanked CFI for all of our prayers, for all of our support, the way we stood alongside her and the family. She used the words that our friendship and our support was like a warm embrace all the time that Rom was kidnapped, and it really meant a lot to her. She also sent me a message. CFI recently had a special week of celebrations and events as we mark 40 years here in Israel. And Rom's mother sent a special message for that occasion, just congratulating us for all that we do for Israel and the Jewish people, but particularly over the last 2 years. But I think what touched me the most was her choice of words, where she described and defined her friendship with those of us here at CFI as a warm embrace. Moving forward, of course, we continue to be in touch. I've made sure that Tammy knows if there's anything the family needs or Rom needs, that CFI is here ready to help. But right now, we just feel that they need their space, they need their privacy, and we want to respect that. So Tammy knows that we're here. We continue to pray and support them in whatever ways we can.
She must be so happy after 2 years of her going through hell and torture as well as her son going through the hell and torture.
Yes, you're right. When I first met Tammy, when she knocked at the door of CFI and I sat down with her, I felt like I was looking at a zombie. I met a woman that she couldn't sleep, she couldn't think, she couldn't eat, she couldn't drink, she couldn't do anything. She was just consumed with agony and with trauma. And in a way, she herself was held hostage by the pain and the not knowing about what was happening to her son. So it's like seeing Rom come back to life. It's also seeing Tammy come back to life. Just the look in her eyes is different. And she herself has her own journey of healing to go through as well. The whole family needs time, needs to heal, and needs to grow again and be joined again. And that's another thing Tammy said in one of her messages. something about how now that Rom is home, that Rom and the whole family can start to come back to life. And this is our prayer for them, that they would have life and life more abundantly.
Of course, you haven't met Rom, but you must be looking forward to a day in the future once the healing process has begun and everything, to meet him in person and say, we were praying for you, we were so encouraging for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely want to meet Rom. I want to give him the biggest hug ever, and so does everybody at CFI, and so do my children. They keep asking me, when can we go and see Rom? When can we go and see Rom? But like I said before, and I really do mean it, I just don't feel that that's the time for that. That's not our role to kind of push ourselves onto this family. Now, the time now is to give them space and to respect their privacy. Tammy knows we're here. Tammy and I, Rom's mother, we WhatsApp each other. We're in touch. And when God says it's the right time, then we'll have the opportunity to meet Rom. But for now, we are just filled with joy to overflowing, just thinking of that family together again.
And now you've just recently been touring in the UK. What have you been doing there?
So, we spent some time in England and also in Scotland, speaking on behalf of Christian Friends of Israel. So we were very encouraged at the different places where we spoke. We were able to share about not just what CFI has been doing since October 7th, 2023, which of course we've been doing a lot. We've been very, very busy in our war relief efforts. But CFI as a whole, we have a multitude of projects at CFI that seek to support and assist and comfort and bless all the different people of Israel, whether the soldiers or Holocaust survivors or the Ethiopian community, victims of terror. We have a Wall of Prayer project, which is very significant to raise up prayer, across the world for this nation and for this people. So we were privileged and very honored to travel to different parts of England and Scotland, share about what we do at CFI, but also to share about what the Lord is doing here in Israel in these days, and to really encourage people and exhort the believers to stand firm in their support and their solidarity with this nation.
Now, the reports from the UK seem to be very, very negative with everything that's been happening just recently. How is the church in England that you've been to? Has it been very positive for you with the church in the UK?
While we were in England, the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, announced that Britain was recognizing a Palestinian state. And we were actually in a church when that announcement came through, and there was terrible groaning and terrible upset amongst the congregants about this decision. So what we encountered, the congregations and the churches and the different groups that we met, it was a mixed bag. Some of the people were real supporters of Israel, and it was fantastic to encourage them. Other people were not. Other people were on the fence, and they weren't sure. And we had some good conversations, answered some difficult questions, and had some real heart-to-hearts, and that was encouraging as well. And there was another church where people were kind of new into this whole world of understanding Israel and what God is doing here in Israel. So we spoke to a variety of people. I think what we found was that the voice on the streets, or the feeling on the streets, certainly does not represent the official stance of the government. That was my impression anyway. Seems to me that there are hundreds and thousands of British people who are not in agreement and are not in agreement with many of the policies of the British government. So these are the people that we seek to reach. And as for Keir Starmer and the British government recognizing a Palestinian state, well, of course, this has happened before. I think it was 1921 when Britain recognized Palestinian state, which I think is now called Jordan. So they seem to like recognizing Palestinian states. Who knows, perhaps they'll do it a third time.
You've just been celebrating 40 years. What is your prayer for the next 40 years of Christian Friends of Israel?
So we're so thankful to God for 40 years. It's amazing, right? 1985, CFI was birthed here in Jerusalem. And almost in the blink of an eye, it seems 40 years have passed. And there's so much to be thankful for and so much to be grateful for. And as we move forward, my prayer is that those of us in leadership here at CFI, as the CFI team, we would always stick very closely to the Lord, and that everything we do would come out of a close relationship with Him. All the projects that we do, the love that we give, it all comes from Him. And also my prayer is that we would always receive His guidance and His wisdom and His vision for this ministry, that we would never branch off to do things that are of our own minds, but that we would always hear We would want to be sheep that hear the shepherd's voice, and that we would follow him wherever he leads and just be about his business, building up his kingdom. This is not just about CFI. This is about the kingdom of God. This is kingdom work. And so that's my prayer, that we would always stick close to the Lord, that we would hear what he's saying to us as CFI and be obedient in fulfilling it.
What's your website for people who'd like to know more about the work that you do and perhaps even want to come and volunteer sometime?
Oh, that would be fantastic. Please visit us at www.cfijerusalem.org. It's all small letters. And you can also find us on Facebook, Christian Friends of Israel Jerusalem, on Instagram, on X, and we have a YouTube channel as well, CFI Jerusalem. So please check out all of our social media, and you can see all the different things that we're up to and get in touch if you'd like to volunteer or just come and visit us. We'd love to see you.
Well, Galya, thank you for sharing today.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you for joining us today. Pray that God will move by his mighty power in the Holy Land and bring his peace.